In today's video, I'm sharing some super quick and easy Dollar Tree DIYs using affordable supplies from their candle aisle. So let's get started. For the first DIY, I grabbed this decorative chalkboard gold frame from Dollar Tree. It's honestly so pretty. I love the ornate, vintage-inspired look, and the intricate detailing really makes it look way more expensive, even though it's just plastic. I'll also be using one of Dollar Tree's classic glass taper candle holders for this project. I'm turning these two simple items into a charming frame pedestal by propping the frame right on top of the candle holder. I'm going to paint the frame using this chalk paint from Craftsmart in the shade khaki. It's a beautiful soft natural beige tone with hints of taupe. Before painting, I'm popping out the black chalkboard along with the backing board, and I'll put those back in later. Feel free to pick whatever paint color matches your style and decor. Any color you love would totally work. I'm using this round sponge brush to paint the frame, and initially I planned to paint the whole thing solid, but as I brushed over it lightly, the paint only caught the raised parts of the design, and it actually ended up looking really pretty. It created this really nice contrast with the gold and made all the details stand out even more. So I just decided to go with that. I did leave the inner and outer sides unpainted, and I just like the way that looked. I'm painting the candle holder that same shade. Now just a few tips on painting glass. You want to make sure it's completely clean first. I did give it a quick wash and wiped it down with some rubbing alcohol to make sure there wasn't any residue. You can also give it a light sanding with a fine grit sanding sheet to help the paint grip better. Okay, so I ended up going back and painting that inner and outer sides of the frame. The gold was just a little too bright, so I thought this looked much better. Once everything was dry, I set the frame on top just to get an idea of how it would look, but I wasn't really loving that open space underneath. It just looked a little unfinished to me. So I'm going to be using one of these round pieces from this Dollar Tree hanging sign to cover that area and give the frame something solid to rest on. So I just pulled one out, and I'm going to add some spackle to cover up those holes. On top of the frame, I'm going to glue one of these little wood pieces. These came in a pack from Dollar Tree. They were from their Christmas stuff a while back. They're actually little wooden angels, and these always come in handy for crafting, so I always grab a few packs whenever I spot them. I'm going to paint both of them to match, but on the little wood round, I'm just leaving a strip right in the center unpainted. That way the glue has something better to grab onto, and it'll stick a lot stronger. For the strongest hold, you'll want to use something like E6000 and then add a little hot glue for an instant hold while it dries. So I glue the frame on top of the wood round, and then I glue the little wood piece right on top. This turned out so beautiful and elegant. Now you can leave it just like that as a little decorative accent, or you can place a chalkboard back in. It's so pretty for a dessert table, or you can even add a nice photo or some artwork. Alright, this DIY is a super quick one. I grabbed 3 of Dollar Tree's black pillar candle pedestals for this. They always have a bunch of different styles. You'll probably see some white ones too, so just grab whatever 3 you like best, as long as the 3 match. I'm also going to be using a couple of these dark votive candle holders. I just really love the look of these. For the pedestals, I'm gluing 2 of them together to make one long one. I'm just lining up the bottoms, adding some glue, and sticking them together. Super easy. And then I'm placing the glass candle holder on top. You can either permanently glue them in place with E6000 or just add a little hot glue so you can mix and match and pop it out whenever you want to change it up. And because Dollar Tree has a big variety of votive candle holders, there's so many different ways you can switch them up for a few dollars. For this project, I'm using one of these round glass plate candle holders from Dollar Tree. It has such a beautiful texture. I'm making a little wooden base for it just to add some warmth, so I grabbed a couple of these wood planks from Dollar Tree. I want the planks to form a cross shape underneath, and I want it to fit perfectly. So I go ahead and measure, mark, and trim the pieces down to the following size, and I just use a miter box and saw to cut it. Now all I have to do is glue them together, and so I'm just marking the center of the longer wood, and that's where I'm going to glue the 2 smaller pieces, one on each side. I'm using Titebond Quick and Thick glue. I love this glue. It's really thick, and it also dries pretty fast. Now I decided to add a little extra detail by gluing some wood pieces onto the ends of the base. These pieces are actually from those mini pallets from Dollar Tree that I had already pulled apart. These were 2 slats, and I just trimmed each one in half to make 4 smaller pieces. Then I just glued the pieces vertically onto the ends of the wood base. It didn't take much effort at all, but that little touch of wood on the ends really took it up a notch. It just makes the whole thing look so much more finished and put together. So at first I thought I was going to stain it, and that was the plan, but once I had it all put together, I really loved how the natural wood looked. I'm just going to spray it with a sealer and leave it natural, but let me know in the comments below, would you leave it natural or paint it a different color? So I just dropped a glass candle dish right on top, and this one is all done. For this DIY, I'm using a couple of these small glass vases. One of them I grabbed from Dollar Tree, and the other one I've had for a while. The biggest thing I was looking for was making sure the opening at the top was the right size to fit a taper candle nice and snug. Not too loose, not too tight. I'll be using some chalk paint that I used earlier, khaki from Craftsmart. The Dollar Tree vase had this jute string wrapped around, so I just removed that. Now before painting, you want to make sure your vases are nice and clean and free of any grease or residue, and so I just gave mine a quick wipe down with some rubbing alcohol on a cotton ball before I got started. I'll be using one of these round foam brushes. These are from Dollar Tree, but honestly you can find them pretty much anywhere. And what I love about these brushes is that they really help the paint go on super opaque, nice and even. Look how quickly and easily it covers. I think I ended up doing a couple coats and it looked great. I also used my heat tool to speed up the drying time just so I wasn't sitting around waiting forever. I love all the details on this vase. The texture and pattern on it is so pretty. It's got that diamond cut look with just a little vintage flair, and the paint really brings all of that out. Once the paint has dried, I'm going to go in and give the vase a light sanding. I'm just focusing on those raised areas. This helps bring out those details even more and gives it that slightly worn age look without going overboard. It adds a little bit of character and dimension, and honestly it makes that pattern pop in such a subtle but pretty way. I'm not sanding it too much, but just enough to let a little bit of that base peek through and give it a little personality. Now I kind of wish I did one more just to have a set of 3, and you can totally mix and match colors too if you want to add a little variety. The final step is just dropping in some candles. Dollar Tree has these 6-inch battery operated ones, but I didn't realize they didn't come with batteries, so I can't really speak for how well they work, but long taper candles look great in these too, especially if you want a more classic look. I'm so happy with how this came together, and it was exactly the look I was going for. For the final DIY, I'll be using 3 of these glass taper candle holders from Dollar Tree. I really love the shape of these. They have such a simple, clean look to them. I'm also using a couple of these decorative plastic bowls. There's some nice details on it, and these came in a pack of 4 from Dollar Tree. I'm going to paint the candlesticks white. I'll be using Waverly's white chalk paint. For the bowls, I'm spray painting them gold. I like using Rust-Oleum's gold metallic spray paint because it bonds really well to plastic, which is perfect for this. So I just took everything outside and gave the bowls a good coat of spray paint, making sure to cover both the inside and the outside. Okay, while that's drying, I'm going to work on the candle holders. After giving them a good cleaning with some rubbing alcohol, I'm gluing the ends of the 2 of the candle holders together, and I'm using a combination of hot glue and E6000. Once that's dry, I'm going to go ahead and paint them. I decided to mix in a little bit of that khaki chalk paint with the white just to tone it down a bit. I didn't want it to be super bright white, and I wanted it to have more of a softer, warmer look. I'm using a round foam brush to paint, and I really like these because they help the paint go on more opaque a lot faster. I'm also pouncing the brush as I go, which helps the paint grab onto the surface better and even adds a little bit of texture, which I really like for a piece like this. Or you don't have to paint it at all and just leave it clear. Now, all of these DIYs today are really quick to do, but let me know in the comments below if you like quick DIYs or bigger projects that take a little more time. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Okay, next I'm going to glue the bowls on top of the candle holders. I'm using a mix of E6000 and hot glue again. And this DIY is done. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any of my new upcoming videos. Until next time, bye!